will take a bath, go in the river, throw water over itself, very nicely clean itself, come out of the river on the bank, and as soon as it comes on the bank, you know what it does?
Put the dirt on it.
Yeah, it picks up dirt in the trunk and throws dirt all over itself. So it's like that, you do something very good and then you do something bad.
Why does he do that?
I don't know why. I mean, must be a reason. From the elephant's point of view, it's probably some good reason. But from a point of, just cleanliness, immediately after becoming clean, you make yourself dirty again. That's not very good. So that it's an analogy for, you do something very good, like you chant Hare Krishna or you read Bhagavad Gita, and then you look at pictures of people enjoying sense gratification together, drinking liquor together, or giving each other a hug and a kiss, or whatever it might be, eating a Big Mac or something like that. And that puts bad impressions in the mind. It just puts bad thoughts in our consciousness. So you've just cleaned your mind, your consciousness, and then you put dirt in your consciousness. So, I mean, it's something we're all going to have to struggle with, because obviously in modern day society, we're so bombarded with this. We've talked before about a man named Ajamila. He'd been brought up in a very good family, but one day, while, minding his own business, doing some work for his dad, he just happened to see a low-class man, a Sudra, embracing a prostitute beside the path. And that went into his mind, disturbed him so much. Eventually, he hooked up with that prostitute, had a relationship with her, and chucked out his good wife and left all his good family and everything like that, and started becoming number one, rascal, and stealing and lying and cheating and everything like that, and drinking and meat eating and everything. So he lost all his good qualities. And Prabhupada mentions that previously it was very rare to see such a thing. But now in Kali Yuga, he was saying now it's like every day. Previously it was so rare, but now every day, we see such degraded things going on. And it's such a disturbance. He said it's very hard to control the mind and senses at this particular time. I mean, and now that was 50 years ago, Prabhupada said that. What about now? Now it's just so much contamination. Prabhupada would have, if he was present now physically, he would have another heart attack for sure, seeing what's the current situation. And the government's just so corrupt. I mean, all over the world, just cheating people.
And I don't know, our society just accept it.
We've become so blind, It said the blind leading the blind, and the blind leading the blind. So many ignorant people, it's like, it's just shocking. So, but anyway, we do have some free choice still. So, I mean, like in your home, you have free choice whether you're going to turn on the news, to watch the latest lying that the media does or not, so that's being programmed by the government or some other people that have paid the money, so that we have some choice whether we do that or not. So we have to think seriously.
That is crazy.
I mean, even from a health point of view, I mean, my wife told me some doctor was saying that we shouldn't be looking at a technological device for 2 hours before we go to bed, because he said it disturbs your sleep. If you're looking in the screen, within 2 hours of going to bed, all that radiation, whatever, in your face and that, it disturbs your sleep and things like that. So even from a health point of view, we want to try to reduce the contamination. Otherwise, it's going to interfere with our Krishna consciousness. Like I say, we do such good things. We chant 16 rounds, read Bhagavad Gita, discuss together, but then we just get ourselves contaminated again. So we should try to, as much as possible. Of course, chanting and that removes so much contamination, definitely. But we shouldn't, whatever previous muck is there, the chanting removes it. But after becoming so nice and clean, why keep adding more, daily adding more? So, you know, as much as possible, we should reduce that. Then we can, you know, we can really start to progress more and more faster. And if we find we're not progressing very much, even though we are chanting and reading and so many things, going to the temple or whatever like that, that could be one of the causes why we may not be progressing, because we're throwing some dirt of material contamination in the form of hearing from materialistic people, watching materialistic people enjoy sense gratification. All these kind of things can be very contaminating. You know, eating food cooked by materialistic people. You know, one time the devotees stayed at a life member's house, ISKCON life member's house, and for Prabhupada's health, it was a nice area in India, and it was very hot, so they stayed in this place up in the mountains for his health. But the very first, they stayed one night and they ate together with the family, and the next morning no one got up early in the morning for the Mangalarti time, which was the common practice established by Prabhupada. And Prabhupada got them all out of bed. He got his servant to get them all out of bed. And he said, we have to leave immediately. If we stay even one more day here, you're all going to fall down. Prabhupada was very serious. And he said, do you know why you couldn't get up for Mangalarti? He said, because of the food you ate last night was contaminated. Because they had the lazy Susan system. You know, we get a rotating table with a bit of everything, you know, in the middle of the table, and you all help yourself. So it means, you know, the people in the family, they were helping themselves, the devotees were helping themselves, but that meant that it was all contaminated by the consciousness of the materialistic family members. So it might seem a very small thing, but actually it can have a very big effect on us, even to the point where, like, you know, you can't get up. And you might think, well, why couldn't I get up? But there was a reason. There was a reason why you couldn't get up like that. So these are all very subtle things, but very important things. And the spirit, we need the spiritual master to help make us aware of that. Like, we wouldn't think twice about, oh, what's the problem? You know, you read Time magazine, who cares? You know, but Prabhupada's saying, no, you just, you know, you've just cleared out all the good things you did today by doing that. You've just wiped it off, you know. So we need the spiritual master, you know, to enlighten us like that about what to do, what not to do, if we want to go back to Godhead. Of course, this is all important only if you want to go back to Godhead. I mean, if you don't want to go back to Godhead, if you want to keep in the material world, if we want to stay here, then you do whatever you like. There's no problem with that. But these instructions should be very interesting, very valuable for those that want to go back to Godhead at the end of this life. You know? I mean, we see the state of society now. Do you want to come back again in another, whatever it may be, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? Fine. You want to come back?
And there is no guarantee you come back, you become an animal or something, or you know, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even if you come back in human society in 50 years is bad enough. What to speak if you take birth as some bug or a dog or something or whatever like that.
It's hard to find balance. Existing this happening and the balance between, for instance, the contamination and all that, you know,
And so
it's not,
also came into scripture. So I didn't
I
read
tried
just read I got from his physio yesterday, which started this whole conversation.
Your voice is cutting out, Deepa. Your voice is cutting out. I heard you were saying it's hard to find the balance. Yeah, it's true. What I'm saying. I mean, it's not easy to follow it. It's definitely difficult, but it's not impossible. I mean, it is definitely difficult. But if we pray to Krishna to help us, and the thing is, you know, there's unavoidable contamination, and there's avoidable. All I'm saying is we try to remove as much of the avoidable contamination from our life. You know, like how much we expose ourselves to the media and so forth. But there's unavoidable stuff. You know, you can't avoid going to work and seeing materialistic people. You can't avoid going to the supermarket and seeing materialistic people, and going to the petrol station and whatever like that. And, you know, sometimes we work for materialistic people. We take money from materialistic people like that. So you can't avoid. And that you just have to pray, Krishna, you know, it's so contaminated. Please save me. Please help me. But then there is stuff that you could avoid, and if you don't avoid it, even though you have the option to avoid it, you know, I don't think Krishna is going to be very merciful. I don't think Krishna is going to be so protective. He's not going to be so protective because he knows you could do better, and you're not. You know, you're attracted to that sense gratification, and you know, so there's not going to be so much security and protection from the Lord. But, you know, the unavoidable stuff, I mean, Krishna's not going to shoot you down for, you know, doing your duty, what you have to do. But as soon as you step over the line, it's not just a matter of, is it your duty to turn on the TV and watch the news for 2 hours? Materialistic, crazy people? No, that's not your duty. That's something you want to do for your sense gratification because it makes you feel good or whatever, hearing about other people's miseries or whatever. But that's, you know, why we do that. We're inflicting, you know, this on ourselves. So Krishna's going to protect us. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But I mean, whatever contamination is there when you're maintaining your family, you know, you just pray to Krishna, please protect me, save me, and whatever, and Krishna will help you. But, you know, don't just do unnecessary things. It's called anartha. The Sanskrit word is anartha. Has no value. Why do we do things that have no real valuable purpose, no valuable benefit? You know, it's not beneficial. Like it says in the Bhagavad Gita that in the 17th chapter, one should speak words that are beneficial. So why listen to words that are not beneficial? Why? If you have a choice, then just listen to words that are beneficial, and don't subject yourself to words that are not beneficial. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, let's get into our reading. 6th chapter, which is Jnana Yoga, text number 19. So, just a little recap on last week. So, yeah, well established in yoga was talking about what it means to be well established in yoga, and basically means to control the mind and the senses. That's what it means to be an advanced yogi. If we think we're an advanced yogi and we can just do whatever we like with the mind and senses, like what I said, you know, we have to control our senses. You know, don't just look at everything, you know, some rubbish magazine, you know, just promoting sex and money and so forth, food. You know, don't look at that. You have to control that. So that's what it means to be a yogi. If someone's saying, oh, you can be a yogi and eat whatever you like, you know, talk whatever you like, sex whatever you like, Prabhupada said that's just cheating. That's bogus. You know, that's nonsense. No, a real yogi means you have to be self-disciplined. You have to be self-controlled, self-disciplined. That's what it means to be advanced in yoga. You only engage your eyes and your nose, your tongue, your genitals.
Yogi and sannyasi is the same?
Same. There's no difference. No difference. Yogi means you're connecting with the Supreme. And sannyasi means you're detached from materialistic life. So it's two parts of the same thing. You know, how can you be attached to the spiritual if you're not detached from the material? how can you be detached from the material if you're not attached to the spiritual? And that's what Prabhupada said in that one. You know, the best way to control the mind and senses is to engage them in the Lord's service. And the example was, remember, who was the example? Who was engaging his mind and senses in the purport last week, the last 2 weeks? We were on that verse. Who was the example? This is who should be famous to you guys.
Ambarisha.
Yeah, Ambarisha. This should be famous. You should forget about Trump and Bill Gates and all the prime ministers and everything like that. These people are not at all, they're infamous. The ones that should become really famous and stuck in our memory are the devotees. They're the ones we should really know. If we ask who's the Prime Minister of Australia and you didn't know, I would forgive you. Because who cares? You know, but is some rascal, you know, but if you know you don't know who are the pure devotees, or who is God. If you don't know who is God, you don't know who is the devotee, then that's unforgivable. You know, you're never gonna progress. So yeah, we should try to get that in our head. We should, instead of practicing to remember the names of the different prime ministers and presidents around the world, and in the main cities and all these kind of things, which is just useless information, and which is only helpful to get if you want a ticket to hell. Better to get in your head, you know, what are the names of all the different incarnations of the Lord, like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, Parashurama, Rama, Balarama, Krishna. Get that in your head, and, you know, different holy places, Vrindavan, Mathura, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, Hardwar, you know, like that, Rameshwaram. You know, get these things in your head, all the devotees of the Lord. You know, the devotee of Ram is Hanuman, the devotee of Krishna is Arjuna, you know, Radharani, like that. You know, better to get that in our head and just overwrite. You know, you can do that with a computer, right? You can overwrite stuff. So we should overwrite all the junk that's in our silly head, you know, with all this good stuff that's going to help us get liberated from the material world. So, yeah, so he's the example that he was engaging his mind and senses always in Krishna's service. And therefore, easily he could control the mind and senses. So that's the secret of how to detach from the material world. If you want to detach from the material world without becoming attached to Krishna or God, then good luck. You know, there's many examples of people that tried to do that and they failed. Like great yogis that weren't doing any devotional service, they weren't Krishna conscious. Like, for example, do you know any yogis that fell down without taking to devotional service or Krishna consciousness?
Because they have to cling on something, otherwise they fall down.
Yeah, that's right.
If you leave one place, you have to be hang on to second. Otherwise, it's no way. You can't hang in the air.
Yeah.
Either you go back or you can connect with the Krishna conscious.
Like I gave the example, right? If you can only put your front foot forward.
Yeah.
If you do what with your back foot?
Definitely. Yeah.
You have to lift it off the ground. You have to let go, right? You can only move forward if you let go. And with your back foot, right?
It's a good example. You have to lift it on the ground means you have to leave entire world in order to join ISKCON. There's no way you can live in the world and ISKCON. There's a two different identity. You have to be left behind, because I can't associate with my friends. Those are in Sydney. I used to, because they are meat eater and drinkers. I have to let go in order to come to there. There's no way you can't travel in two boats.
Well, I mean, what you can do is you can try to give them Krishna's association. Of course, if they're averse to Krishna's association, then you have to leave it behind.
That's right.
But, you know, we can give. I mean, that's what Prabhupada came to the West. Otherwise, where would we be? You know, if he stayed in his nice, comfortable place in Vrindavan, in Radha Damodar Mandir, we'd be stuffed. but he came to us. Why did he come to us? He came to New Zealand 3 times. He came to Australia 7 times because he want to hang out with the Kiwis and Aussies? No, he wanted to give them Krishna's association, and he loved us, even though we were rascals, meat eaters, drunkards, womanizers, gamblers, addicts of all kinds, in mode of ignorance, mode of passion, but he still loved us. Even though we were mudhas, by Vedic terms, we're all mudhas, means fools and rascals. But he loves us, and because he's seeing us as the soul. So, if you do like that, then you can meet with anyone. There's no problem. You just see them as a soul and you try to help them. Like this person that's you said was deaf, and handicapped like that. That's because of past bad karma, some very foolish activities. He's in that situation, very disadvantaged materially. But you tried to help him. You didn't ignore him because, he's mode of ignorance, he's sinful.
No.
Don't let me go near him. No, you try to help him. Give him Bhagavad Gita, help him to chant japa, give him prasadam, but don't take on his vibes. Take on his consciousness. You try to uplift, his consciousness with Krishna. Actually, we don't have anything good to offer anyone. What are we? We're just, another ignorant person. But we try to give them Krishna's association.
Yes.
And that's what the devotee is trying to do. It's not that on our own we can't purify anyone. We can't even purify ourselves. But it's Krishna's association is purifying us. And Krishna's association can purify others. That's what we're trying to do, like that. And the other example about detaching is like, that I said the couple that were getting married, they went in the boat. They went in the boat the whole night long on their wedding night. That was their plan. They're going to go to a particular place by boat. And in India and different places, I think in Amsterdam too, right? They use a lot of boats there to get around. Yeah. So some places there's a lot of rivers in that, so they go by boat rather than car. So their idea on their honeymoon, they were going to go by boat, and the whole night long the boatman was doing a good job rowing. But in the morning when the sun came up, where were they?
Same place.
They were in the same place they were the night before after rowing for 8 hours. How is that possible?
You're still tied to the jetty.
Rowing. Huh?
He was still tied to the jetty.
Yeah, you're still tied to the jetty. They didn't take the anchor up. So that's the thing, you can't become attached to the spiritual world or to Krishna if you don't let go of Maya, materialistic life. If you're attached to Time magazine, you can't be attached to Krishna. So of course, if you can use Time magazine in Krishna's service, that's no problem.
Yeah, if you're an editor and you can put there some, if you're an editor and then you can put some in there, in the Krishna consciousness.
Put some Krishna consciousness article in there. Or one time, so one impersonalist, one Mayavadi had distributed his nonsense Mayavad philosophy pamphlets to the temple, the first temple in New York, and left them there. And it said that, that's the worst contamination, talking about throwing dirt on yourself, is to read Mayavad philosophy, which is basically saying that Krishna is material. He has a material body. He's not God. He's an ordinary person. That ultimately everyone is God, that all this world is illusion, including Krishna, including Krishna's devotees, including devotional service, is all Maya, is all illusion. The only thing that's real is an all-pervading spiritual energy, Brahman. Everything else is false. Like that. So they talk all nonsense things. And then, how are you going to use that? But Prabhupada thought of a way to use it. So all the stuff had been left. No one had read it, but it was there, all these pamphlets. But they made very good plates for prasadam. So Prabhupada one night after the program, before distributing prasadam, he said, distribute those Mayavad flyers to everyone. Give everyone one flyer. And everyone was like, devotees were shocked. Why is Prabhupada asking to distribute the Mayavad flyers? So everyone had a flyer, and then he said, serve prasadam on it. So they plonked whatever it was, the rice and dal or sabji or whatever, or halava or whatever, on these pieces of paper with nonsense philosophy. But he used it in Krishna's service. So, but if you can't use it in Krishna's service, then leave it. Then,
I sold one Bhagavad Gita to Mayavadi last year. He was keep coming and having that prasadam, and he was believing, Vivekananda and the Mayavadi people there. And then I said that too, it's like universe is this, all things about like that. And I said, listen, that he's a Krishna and all that thing. I said, listen, the simple thing is that if Krishna was appears in this world, because if you offer something, you Mayavadi, whom you gotta offer? Do they listen? You offer? He said, yeah. If they listen, they have got ears. If they got ears, they got the body. Yeah.
Very good.
You're offering that. The hearing you offer, isn't it? Whether he believe in no picture, no statue, nothing like that.
Yes.
I said, but somebody is listening. He said, yeah. How they can listen? They got an ear. He said, at the end, he bought a Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. So you converted the Mayavadi. That's great.
Yeah, but yeah. Now he moved to Sydney. Actually, he doesn't come here anymore. He used to live in near Mayfield.
Oh, but he has the Bhagavad Gita, so that's definitely credit.
Yeah, with the $15 and give me Bhagavad Gita. I said, read.
Sacrifices money, which can be used in Krishna's service. So.
Well, I don't know about now, but crazy, but.
Yeah, so a yogi and a sannyasi is two sides of the same coin. Yogi means, being attracted to Krishna, and then sannyasi being detached from the material world. And so a yogi is both. A yogi has to be spiritually attached and materially detached, and a sannyasi also spiritually attached to Krishna and materially detached. You can't have one without the other. It's not possible. So that's what Prabhupada was explaining. The best way to control that to be advanced in yoga means to control the mind and senses, and the best way to do that is be engaged in devotional service. And I was saying some examples of those yogis that weren't doing devotional service that fell down. One was named Vishvamitra Muni.
Oh yeah,
big yogi. He fell down many times. Another one was Subari Rishi, very big yogi, but he fell down. So there's so many that without taking to Krishna consciousness, they fell down back into materialistic life. So it's more safer to be engaged, keep your mind and senses engaged in devotional service and bhakti. That will help to protect us from Maya's influence.
Maya is very strong.
Maya's very strong, yeah. Maya's very strong.
And you don't even notice that.
More than once. Huh?
You don't even notice you fall down.
No, you don't notice. See, Maya has two Shaktis. One Shakti pulls us down into ignorance, into illusion. That's one of her energies. Shaktis pulls us down. Her other Shakti covers over our knowledge. Covers over our knowledge. So one energy pulling us down, and the other one covering the knowledge. So it's very powerful. Sometimes Prabhupada would say, if Maya just looks at you sidelong glance, just gives you a glance in your direction, hey, Gulshan, she just glances at you, then immediately gone, finished.
Gone, yes.
Finished. She's so powerful.
Maya is the shield of Krishna, doesn't let it go close to Krishna.
Like women are famous for giving a sidelong glance. They just look at the man through the corner of the eyes, and their beautiful features in that, that attract the man, and Cupid does his work, and then he becomes victimized like that. So it's said like that, then Maya just a sidelong glance at you and finish. But Prabhupada said the only thing that protects us is that we're chanting Hare Krishna. And therefore Lord Chaitanya, who's the incarnation for Kali Yuga, he's very powerful. And he's the only person that's more powerful than Maya. You know, Maya is much more powerful than us. There's no question. But also that the Krishna or Lord Chaitanya, the Lord, is much more powerful than Maya, and there's no question about that either. So the only solution to getting free from the victimization of Maya is to come under the shelter of Krishna. So that's the recommendation. Even though we're so small and helpless, but if we come under Krishna's protection, then we're safe. Just like Prahlad. Prahlad was a 5-year-old boy, very helpless, and he was attacked in so many ways by the most powerful demon in the universe that was terrorizing the demigods, powerful demigods and so forth. And no one stood a chance in front of him. But he had no problem. How is it? He couldn't even defend himself. He's only 5 years old, but because he'd taken shelter of Krishna, he was always protected. So in the same way, you know, we should always take shelter of Krishna, and that will help us, especially in the form of chanting Hare Krishna. This is very powerful protection. But there's a quality of chanting also, not just that we're mechanically chanting, but we should try to do it with concentration and hear the holy names attentively. Try to attentively chant, as sincerely chant. Like Prabhupada said that, what is the meaning of the Maha Mantra? Does anyone know a meaning or definition for the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? He said it means, oh Hare, energy of the Lord. So Hare or Radha, we had Radhastami recently, then Radharani's appearance day. So one of Radharani's names is Hare. So it's the energy of the Lord. So, oh energy of the Lord, oh Krishna. So we're addressing the energy of the Lord and the Lord Krishna and his energy, Hare Krishna. Please engage me in your service. So we should very sincerely be doing that. It's actually, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a prayer. It's a prayer where we're praying for service and protection from Maya. Please, I don't want to engage in Maya's service anymore. That's what we're asking. I don't want to serve Maya anymore. I want to serve you, Krishna. Please engage me in your service. Take me out of Maya's service and put me in your service. And we're appealing not only to Krishna, but his energy, because Krishna's female energy, Radha or Hare, is very kind, very merciful. And often we see that, isn't it? The man can be very, very strict, very hard, but generally women are very soft-hearted, very soft. So Krishna also can be very hard, but Radha is very soft. So she is the manifestation of Krishna, but his feminine pleasure potency. So it's explained that Radha and Krishna are not different. They're the same entity. But Radharani or Hare is the pleasure potency of Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Radha, in the mood of Hare. So he's also, even though he's in a male form, but he's very soft-hearted because he's in that mood of the feminine energy, devotee energy. So if we chant Hare Krishna and praying to Lord Chaitanya, please engage me in your service and protect me from my service, then we can be protected. Otherwise, very difficult situation. Okay, let's read today's one. So text 19. Text 19.
That knowing that this is coming up.
Okay, we ready? Yata dipo nivatasto.
Yata dipo nivatasto.
Nengate sopama smrita.
Nengate sopama smrita.
Yogino yata chitasya.
Yogino yata chitasya.
Yunjato yogamatmana.
Yunjato yogatmanam.
Let's do it again. Yatha dipo nivatasto.
Yatha dipo nivastasto.
Nengate sopamasmrta.
Nengate sopamasmatha.
Yogino yatachitasya.
Yogino yatachitasya.
Yunjato yogamatmana.
Yujantro yognatmatmana.
This is a very nice verse. It's got deeper. It's got deeper's name in it.
Yes.
Now we can find out what deeper means. What does deeper mean? Not deeper can't give the answer. But what does deeper mean? It's in this verse. What is
a lamp?
It means lamp.
Yeah.
The lamp. It means a light, a lamp. So deeper Mataji is bringing more light into this dark world. Bringing more light into this dark world.
Did you born in Diwali?
No.
Oh, okay.
Probably her parents were wanting to bring more hope, that they were going to bring more light into this dark world. We need some more light. They're very smart.
But
okay.
Pradeepa is my full name, and Pradeepa is, as I understand it, is like prasadam is offering to God the food. This is light that's offered to God. That's what I was told.
Okay. Wow, that's very nice, Pradeepa.
I don't feel at all qualified, but hey.
Yeah, so in the Aarti, when we worship the Lord in the temple, then we offer the light, the lamp, to God. We offer the lamp to God. We offer incense to God, right? And then the second thing we offer, first thing is incense. And then we offer the light, and then we offer water. Then we offer handkerchief, which the water offering means we're meditating on offering the Lord a bath. We're giving the Lord a snan, a bath. We're bathing the Lord. Then after a bath, what do?
Dry.
You got to get dried off, right? You don't be left wet is not a very good service. We're going to give you a good bath and then leave you dripping. No, so the handkerchief is like you're drying the Lord's body after washing, bathing his body. You're drying the Lord like that. And then we offer flowers to the Lord. Then a chamara, which is like a yak tail whisk for getting rid of flies, which is also a nice service when there's flies around. So someone removing the flies is very good. And then the peacock fan we offer in the summertime, and that's very cooling. You don't offer that in the winter because you don't want something cooling all over you.
What do you offer in the winter?
You don't. You finish with the yak tail whisk. You finish
nothing
with that.
Warm. Because it's cold.
You can light the fire in the temple room. Yeah.
Yes. That's why you did that like a wood fire.
Yeah, that's why I set up the wood fire to keep not only keep the devotees warm, but keep the Lord warm.
Krishna.
Keep the Lord warm, keep the devotees warm, and that's service also. That's also worshiping the Lord. Like even if you're not qualified to be a priest, I mean, you're still qualified to light the fire, and so that's good. You're worshiping the Lord, just the same as the Pujaris. Prabhupada said, that don't think there's any difference between the Pujari offering the aarti and the cleaner cleaning the floor of the temple room. There's no difference from Krishna's point of view. He sees it equally. He's very pleased by being offered the aarti by the priest, the pujari, and he's very pleased by someone cleaning the floor of the room. He doesn't see any difference. The main thing is that the priest is doing it out of love to serve the Lord, and the cleaner is also cleaning out of love. Of course, if the priest, instead of offering the articles to please the Lord, is thinking that everyone in the temple room is watching me, wave around these articles in nice circles, and that they're going to think I'm good looking, or I'm going to become famous or whatever like that, then Krishna's also going to see that. He's not going to be so pleased. So it's important. Your consciousness is important. That it doesn't matter externally what you're doing so much, but more it matters the consciousness. So we try to always do it in the right consciousness as a humble service. We're just doing it as a humble service. My guru has engaged me in this service, and I'm doing it under the order of my guru, trying to please my spiritual master, try to please Krishna. So we should have the right motivation as much as possible. That's very important. Even Prabhupada said about people giving a donation in the temple, that Krishna doesn't just see what you give. He sees what you don't give. It means that if someone comes to the temple, gives $1,000, but he has $999,000 in his bank, and he gives 1,000 to the temple. And a poor person comes to the temple, he only has $1, and he gives $1. Then from Krishna's point of view, which is the better offering? $1,000 or $1?
$1.
$1. Because one person gave 100%. And the other person gave 1,000th, of that, Point, what is it? 0.00 or whatever it is, 0.0. Deep as the accountant, you can work it out. 1,000th of what they had, So that's the thing, so sincerity, we should try to be sincere. We don't want to be duplicitous. Do you know where the word sincere comes from? I've mentioned it once before. That's interesting. Very interesting, this word sincere.
Sin.
It comes from the word sincere, which I'm not sure whether that's Greek or Latin, or it might be Latin, or I'm not sure which language it is, but it comes from the word sincere, which means without wax. You understand? Probably not.
Well, the wax would have been a seal.
It's used for seal, yep. It's also used for filling in cracks in marble. So when the people manufacturing the marble, if the marble had a crack in it, they would fill the crack with wax to hide it. So then you couldn't tell, because you run your hand over it, right? Before you buy it, you're going to run your hand over it looking for cracks. But if the wax is in there, you can't find the crack. You can't. It looks like there's no crack, but there is a crack, but it's filled with wax. So marble that had no cracks, they would call that sincere. This marble is sincere, means it has no wax. So like that, to be sincere means you're not hiding anything. You're not being duplicitous. You're very simple. Means you're very straightforward in your service. You're very straightforward. You're very honest. You're not trying to hide anything. You're not trying to be duplicitous. You're not trying to be a pretender. You're not pretending that you're an advanced devotee, but actually you're a rascal. Like that. You're not trying to cheat. You're not trying to pretend. You're being very genuine. You're being very honest, very simple, very straightforward. Means what you're showing on the outside is what's on the inside, and vice versa. There's no difference between within and without. You're not pretending on the outside you're an advanced devotee, but on the inside you're full of material desires, like that. So you're not trying to make a show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we should try to be that as much as possible. This is the best way to render service, with sincerity. It's said ultimately that Krishna doesn't need our service. We have to realize that. We should all realize that. What is the definition of God? Do you remember? He's got 6 opulences in full.
He's
all beauty, all strength, all wealth, all knowledge, all fame, all renunciation. And what did I miss out? beauty, strength, knowledge, wealth, fame, and renunciation. So he has everything. Oh, so what can you give him? If you give him $1 million, does he benefit in any way?
No.
It's all his money anyway. You're just giving back to him what's already his. Where does all the money come from? It comes from him. It's all his energy. You know, if you build him a temple, does he gain anything? No, it's already his. Everything you made the temple out of is his energy. You know, and in the spiritual world, he has far, 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 far better temples than what you can make here on this planet Earth in Kali Yuga out of some bricks and cement and glass. His temples in the where he lives in the spiritual world are made of jewels. Tintamani prakarasadmasakalpa riksa laksavatesa surabhirabhipaliyantam. The houses are made of jewels in the spiritual world, and the ground. And every tree is a desire tree, kalpa vriksha, that fulfills all desires. Every tree is every cow is a surabhi cow that can give unlimited quantities of milk, whatever flavors or as much as you want, whenever you want, how you want. You know, so he has everything. There's nothing that we can really give him. So why do we render service?
Yeah, our intention.
Yeah, that's what he wants as our bhav, our feelings. Means our sincere service attitude, our humble service
and the
attitude.
prema.
It's the prema, the love. You know, that the actual service that you're doing, Krishna doesn't need it. Krishna doesn't need cooks. He doesn't need cleaners. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't need gardeners. But he wants the love of his parts and parcels. That's all. And the service is a way that we can show that. How do you show the love that's in your heart? How do you show that you love someone?
You care.
You do something for them. You do some service for them.
Yeah.
You buy them some flowers. You take them out for dinner. You cook something. You write them a card saying, "I love you, Dad. I love you, Mum." You know, even though you didn't spell it right or whatever, or it's pretty silly looking picture of you, just a stick figure. You know, when your 5-year-old, you know, writes, you know, a picture of a stick figure and says, "Love you, Mum, love you, Dad," you know, they're going to keep it on the mantelpiece for the rest of their life. Well, not because of the quality of the picture. And anyway, the card and the crayons and the felts were bought with the money of the parents anyway. And the parents probably bought the card and the felts and everything. But it's the fact that they did it with the love of their heart. And that's priceless. You can't put a value on that, isn't it? I mean, the card altogether with the pens and everything cost $2. But is the value of that card to the parents $2?
No.
You can't give a price. Because love is unlimited. And it's value. That's what the soul really wants. And we want love. Why do we want love? Because we're part of Krishna and that's what he wants. Isn't it? We want to give love and that's called service. And we want to receive love, which is service. You know, so that's our real nature, and that's only what makes us happy. Even if you have $1 million and a great job and everything, and even if you don't get COVID, are you going to be completely happy? No, not if you don't have service. Not if you don't have love for the Supreme. You know, that's the only thing that's going to really make us happy. You know. So yeah, let's read this verse. Let's see what it's about the lamp. Let's see what's happening with the lamp. Okay, Bob, do you want to read the translation?
Yep. I'm ready to go. As a lamp in the windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his in his meditation on the transcendent self.
Okay, so the lamp is compared to what?
Your okay, thoughts and just the windless places. Like when you do the service, you have to be doing like a windless place to the lamp, like concentration full in the service.
But what's the lamp compared to? Thoughts, you said. Yeah. So thoughts come from what?
From the mind.
From the mind. Yeah. So thoughts come from the mind. So the lamp is an analogy for the mind. And so the yogi's mind is like a lamp is compared to the mind, but specifically the lamp in a windless place means the mind is very steady. It's fixed. Like a lamp in a windless place means it doesn't move. It's very steady lamp. Like as soon as a wind comes in, you've seen the lamp, right? It bends around and might even blow out. It might even blow out if there's a lot of wind. But and it flickers, right? And it flickers. If there's some wind or whatever, the light will like flicker. But in a windless place, that lamp will just be one steady line going upwards. So this is an analogy saying that the yogi's mind is compared to a lamp in a windless place, means it's very steady, it doesn't move. Why doesn't the yogi's mind move anywhere? Because normally the mind moves everywhere, right?
Because his mind's stayed in Krishna consciousness. That's all.
Yeah, because the mind is fixed.
Otherwise, no chance.
And the Ashtanga Yoga system, which this is what the chapter is, the final of the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga Yoga process is called Samadhi. So the next 4 verses are going to talk about that as the perfection of yoga, Samadhi. So that Samadhi means a trance-like state of mind, where your mind is fixed on one point. And that one point that the yogi's mind is fixed on, ultimately is fixed on the beautiful form of God, is fixed on God. And normally the mind is not fixed at all. And we experience that, isn't it, every day? The mind goes all over the place, isn't it? And Arjuna says that later on in this chapter, in the 34th verse, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, that the mind is flickering, means like it's being blown around the wind. It's flickering. And then he says that, Vayo eva suduskaram. The mind is like the wind. How do you control the wind? Has anyone tried to control the wind?
No.
Good luck.
And the next verse, Krishna said that Asansham Mahabhavo.
Yeah, and then he says in the next verse.
Yeah, I understand.
He agrees. Krishna actually agrees with Arjuna. He doesn't say, Arjuna, you're wrong. The mind's not flickering. It's not like the wind. He agrees. He said yes. He says it is. Mano dunigraham chalam. That it is very difficult. The mana is very difficult to control. But he says, however, that after agreeing, yes, it is difficult to control the mind, but however, it's possible by constant practice and detachment. So that's this 34th and 35th verse of this chapter. So it is possible. So what is the practice and what is the detachment? So this is the practice of Krishna consciousness, by the practice of devotional service, Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting and remembering Krishna, worshipping Krishna. Then it is possible to control the mind. And like I said, we have to detach at the same time. So you're doing the right practices. You're chanting, you're hearing Bhagavad Gita, you're eating prasadam, all these things. These are the right way. You're engaging your mind and senses in the right way. But also it has to practice detachment also. Okay, you're eating the right stuff. Stop eating the wrong stuff. Eat prasadam. Yes, very good. Don't eat McDonald's. Stop the wrong stuff. I think
once you attach that, it'll be detached automatically.
Oh, it's not automatic. You have to consciously make an effort. Why is it not automatic?
Because once you start chanting, you'll be stop eating meat. I noticed that in myself.
Yeah, yes.
And then
sometimes the desires or interests may resurface. Why is that?
Old habits die hard.
Yeah, old habits die hard. We're called conditioned souls. So we've been conditioned to doing certain things for not only one life, whether it be I've done it 60 years in this life, or 50 years, or 40 years, or 30 years in this life. I've eaten those things, or drunk those things, or had sex with those people, or talked about nonsense stuff. And honestly, I tell you from my own experience that, like, sometimes something will happen to me that I don't want to happen, and then automatically, like just instinctively, automatically, hardly even I got a chance to think about it, a swear word comes out of my mouth. Now,
really?
yeah, and it's
Oh,
just
hard to
honestly
believe
telling
that.
you, and because, and it's just like
Instant reaction.
it's just an instant thing. It's because I'm so conditioned because of the past that I've spent 20 years being brought up in an environment with swearing, and then practicing that myself and everything like that. And then it's just in your system. It's just in your system. It's deep down in the subtle body. And sometimes it comes out in a particular circumstance, like, say hit your hand with a hammer, and then it comes out. It just automatically comes out. I wish, I hit my hand with a hammer and it would say Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, or Radhe Radhe, but sometimes it might do. And but sometimes it doesn't. And this is because of past habits. But that's not necessarily an obstacle. That's not necessarily, and Krishna's not going to blame us for that, because he knows we have these, inbuilt habits, not only, like I said, this life, but many lifetimes. Many lifetimes we've been full of lust, for material desires. We've been full of greed, full of anger, not only this one life, but for many lives. It's so deep. So Krishna knows that, and he's not going to disqualify us because of that. But you have to try your very best to, consciously detach yourself. And these are very simple. Prabhupada's made it very simple. That he said, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So these are the things that what it means practice detachment, constant practice and detachment. So we need to practice. What are we practicing? Chanting Hare Krishna, taking prasadam, associating with devotees, all these kind of things, hearing Bhagavad Gita, like that, learning verses. So practice those things, going to the temple, cleaning the temple, whatever, making your home into a temple, like that. And then detachment, which means those four things, like I said. So, and like I said, I try to avoid the taking association from materialistic people, whether it be through Time magazine or through the news or whatever like that. So we, detach in that way, and then the mind can come under control. The mind can come under control. And what I have noticed is, the good news is that over the years the swearing gets less. Then it gets less, so the desires become less. But it's said that as long as you have a material body, material desires will be there, because it comes with the material body. But the difference is, for a yogi, he doesn't act on the desires. Let's look at chapter 2, text number 70. Chapter 2, text number 70. Whoever gets there first can give it a read, the translation.
A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of the desires that enter like a river into the ocean, which is ever being filled but it's always still, can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Incessant means it never stops. It's incessant flow. It means continuous. Like the rivers, does the river flow into the ocean 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day? 24/7. 24/7. Like we have a river going through our place, and it's 24/7. And that's why we've stuck a water turbine on it, because it gives you power 24/7. It's great. It's just continuous. So the rivers are constantly flowing to the ocean. So what's that an analogy for?
The desires will constantly flows to your mind.
Into your mind, yeah. Your material desires constantly flowing into your mind, just like rivers constantly flowing to the ocean. But here's another part of the analogy. Although you've got millions of liters of water from all the rivers going into the ocean, does the ocean go up or down because of the river?
No.
Say you've got 1,000 rivers going into the one ocean.
No.
Does the 1,000 rivers water going to make the ocean go up?
No.
No.
No. It stays the same. So you've got thousands of desires coming into your mind. But when you're Krishna conscious, then the mind remains steady. Even with all those desires coming in, they come in and you let them go out. The secret is you don't fix your mind on those desires. You keep your mind fixed on one thing. On Krishna. So sex desire comes in and sex desire goes out. Anger comes in and anger goes
not
out.
Not all the time. anger is not all the time go out without.
But that's the practice of yoga. So we have to practice that. And this is what the practice is saying here, that only that person can achieve peace. So if we want peace, that's the only way to get peace, that you don't react to the desires that are coming into the mind. But let them come and let it go. You don't...
The minute you react,
attach yourself to those things thinking they're real, thinking they're important. You have to realize these things are illusory. They're temporary. They're not important. What is important is Krishna. So the thought of COVID comes into the mind, then let it go out. It's not important. It's only about the body. We're not the body, we're the soul. So it should be Krishna, Krishna, not COVID vaccine, COVID vaccine, COVID vaccine.
So many flus come and go. Ebola.
So that's the thing. So that's what we're practicing. So being a yogi doesn't mean no material desires come into your mind. That's not what it is. Don't think, I'm never going to be a yogi because my mind is just full of desires. Now, that doesn't disqualify you. What disqualifies you, if you react to those desires and then focus on them and you forget Krishna, then you're disqualified. But just the fact that there are desires coming in and going out doesn't disqualify you. Even the first verse of Nectar of Instruction gives the qualifications of becoming a guru to deliver everyone in the world. Vachavegam, Manasakrodavegam, Jiva Vegam, Urupasta Vegam, Etan Vegan, Yovasaheta Dera, Savam, Abhimam, Pradivim, Sashashat. So that's saying one who can tolerate the urges to speak, the actions of the mind and anger, the urges of the genitals and the tongue and the belly are qualified to be a guru and make disciples all over the world. It doesn't say that doesn't have an urge to speak, doesn't have an urge for the genitals, doesn't have an urge for the tongue, doesn't have anger, doesn't have any mental issues or whatever. It's just saying one who tolerates them. So that's inferring that those desires are always going to be coming and going. It's not going to stop. But you shouldn't change like the ocean. You shouldn't change because of all that junk going in and out. Let it go in and out. But, I'm a spirit soul. I'm not the body. I'm a servant of Krishna. My focus is serving Krishna and thinking about Krishna, remembering Krishna, chanting Krishna's names, talking about Krishna, offering food to Krishna, like that, being with devotees. That's my focus. My mind is just fixed on that. And all this other stuff will come and it will go, and let it go. The thing is not to hold on to it. Don't give it importance that it doesn't have. Does that make sense? Anyone want to say anything about that?
Makes sense.
Where we go wrong is we think all these things other than Krishna have so much importance, and we focus on them so much. Like, keep coming back, like in the whole world today, what are if you did a survey, what's your mind thinking about? Most people are going to say COVID, vaccines, all this stuff.
Money,
and that's actually what's behind the COVID and the vaccines anyway, is
money.
But
the thing is that if somebody is stopping you to do the Krishna service, you have to accept that. Like, the government says you can't run the temple until you have a vaccine. And if you keep saying no to the vaccine, you can't do the service in the temple.
Yeah, but is that the only way you can serve Krishna, by going to Cessnock?
But no, the thing is, if you are in the temple, serving in the temple, and then government says, and then, president will say, like, listen, mate, you got to get it, or you have to leave the temple.
Yeah, but I would say that your house should be a temple. So you could change it to your focus to that Krishna's in my house. It's actually not my house, it's Krishna's house. I'm in Krishna's house. Yeah. And what about this? Well, what is this? This is also a temple. Why do we put tilak on 12 places on this body?
But you've been allocated some duties, like, service to clean the temple, and then to doing the garland at the temple, or dressing the deities. Yeah. And then and then, I mean, everybody in the temple, they got the corona shots.
No,
there.
But I mean, no, okay. Well, that's another thing, whether they want to do that. But the devotees in the temple can do that service. I mean, if you're living somewhere else in Newcastle and you can't go there for some reason, and they can do that service.
Those who are living in the temple, they got nowhere to go, like at Chitruva, Braj Mandal, and they got no choice.
Yeah, then what to do? Like I say, I mean, if you have no choice, if you're forced, but I'm saying if there is choice, I mean, within the choice that you have, you got to use it.
Next month,
within the choice that you have, you got to use it. So, like, once you get on a plane, you don't have the choice to get off the plane, except when it lands. Right? But when you're on the plane, you have a choice whether you're going to watch the TV that's in front of you, or whether you're going to read Bhagavad Gita, or whether you're going to chant Hare Krishna, or whether you're going to eat prasadam, whether you're going to go to sleep. Yeah. So there still are choices. So just because you can't go from point A to point B unless you're vaccinated, well, just don't go to point A to B.
But now
that's
they're saying
one
the
possible
government
choice. I'm not saying you have to.
They were saying the next month the restaurants will be only open to the people, those who are fully vaccinated, staff and the customer. Then I've got no choice. If I have to service in the Bhakti tree, I have to get the shot that vaccinate.
No, but you still do have a choice.
I mean, I do have a choice. I can not at the Bhakti tree, work in there and drive the Uber. And then with the Uber will say that you have to get shot. Or maybe no Uber, I'll go to the Woolworth to work. Woolworth will say you have to have a shot. Then why not have a shot work in the Bhakti tree?
I mean, because ultimately, what is the most important thing for you to continue your service?
Your health.
Your health.
Yes, that's right.
So, and if you identify that something may compromise that health, then what is worth compromising your health?
Nothing.
Because if you stuff up your health, you won't be able to go and clean the temple anyway. You won't be able to go and be at the front door of the Bhakti tree anyway. You won't be able to do your job anyway.
No, I can't. That's right.
I have to take the vaccine to do my job. But mate, if because of all these things you're dead, then you can't do your job anyway. So you might as well not do your job now and stay alive, and chant Hare Krishna. So, I mean, there's always choice. It just depends how you look at it. It depends how you want to look at it.
Sometimes the circumstances, they take over the choice.
I mean, if 100 army men come into your home and grab your arms and legs and stick the jab in your arm, I mean, you got no choice what to do.
Okay.
But
Deepa, you got a jab?
You could get a gun and just shoot them when they come in. So that's another choice. But anyway, it's not at that point where it's forced to that degree. I'm just joking about that.
That's okay.
But I'm just saying, there are different options. But the main thing is to keep our mind fixed on Krishna. And I mean, we're going to die sooner or later anyway. So at the end of the day, it's not a big deal whether you die a so-called natural death.
Look at the bigger picture.
A so-called unnatural death. Because either you're going to die, asleep in your bed, or
I want to see that, because
something anyway.
According to my horoscope, it says that my cause of my death. I just want to see that. How correct is that? Or and how?
I wouldn't go that far into astrology, because one thing is that once you take the Krishna consciousness, that changes your karma. Like Prabhupada said, just if you clap in front of the deities, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said that it changes the lines on your hands. It means it said your destiny is written on your palm of your hands. But Prabhupada's indicating there that, just by serving Krishna, you're changing your destiny. So the destiny that's, that you had when you were born, that this was going to happen, that was going to happen, that may change. Or not may change, it will change. Just by you chanting Hare Krishna once, let alone chanting 16 rounds every day, just by having prasadam once. I mean, Prabhupada, I read Prabhupada said this, is a devotee asked Prabhupada, what happens to the plant, Prabhupada, when you take a flower from the plant and give it to Krishna? What happens to that plant? Prabhupada said that plant gets a human form of life in its next life.
Yeah, it's over the joy. His flower is going to the Krishna's feet. Yeah.
No, it's not. Nothing to do with the plant's joy. Yeah. It's to do with Krishna's pleased with that plant.
Yeah, at least it's I've been served to Krishna.
I mean, that plant is ignorant. That plant is not thinking anything. That plant is ignorant, and you've taken a flower from that ignorant plant, you've offered it the lotus feet of Krishna, and he's accepted that flower, and thank you, plant, for that flower, and the soul of that plant is blessed. And instead of taking, 3 million lifetimes, for example, to get a human form of life, it goes to one.
Wow.
So that's a big change, by doing, rendering some service. So, I wouldn't go too much into how you're supposed to die astrologically, because that could be changed in any way. You could live for 200 years or 2 seconds, depending on what Krishna's hasn't planned for you.
That's
so, right. I mean, Prabhupada used astrology too. So, we're not writing it off. I also have. I consulted an astrologer before I got married. So.
And the astrology works. That was right or not? Your marriage didn't last. The first one.
The first one didn't. Right. I consulted both times. One didn't work. One did. So So it's not the end of the world. Astrology is not the end of the world. I mean, it can be a tool like anything, but don't depend on it. Don't depend on it. I mean, you can use many things, but don't be attached. Don't be attached to anything except for Krishna.
No, it's okay.
And the devotees and the holy name. Yeah. Don't be attached to anything.
100%. I controlled my desire last week. Can I tell you how?
Okay.
Because what happened, my car was an accident, and then because I was not at the fault, they gave me a brand new Ford, that SUV, to drive while your car get fixed. And then because the parts and all takes so long, it took almost 5 to 6 weeks, more than a month. And I was driving the brand new car, and I got used to it, and I really like it. When my car come back, I didn't like my car. and the thing is, and then like straight away, I just look at the price of that car and look at my car, and there was only $100 difference in the monthly repayment. I said, Gulshan, you can afford $100. And then there was a Ford, and I know where the Ford showroom is, but I did not go in. I did not went in. I said, no, I'm not going to go in no matter what. I'm going to drive this old car. Does not matter. If I can afford that $100 more, that's fine. No, but I will not go in. I control.
The $100 in the box in the temple or somewhere.
No, $100 was the difference in the repayment. And I was thinking, yeah, I can afford it. But that was a very good car. No, but I did not go in and control my desire.
Good. Very good. Very good.
I'm driving whatever's there. Thank you.
Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy. Okay, it's a short purport. So before we finish up, let's read it.
Yeah.
Deepa, do you want to read the purport?
Truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant, undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place.
So don't think this is indicating that, windless meaning, well, you're focused on Krishna, it's all peaceful around you. No, it can be completely chaos around you. Like Prabhupada explained, being in the material world is like being in a whirlpool. You know how sometimes in a river and you'll get these currents and undertows or whatever, and it's like a whirlpool, it's trying to pull you down. So being in the material is like that, being in a whirlpool. But Krishna consciousness is like the art of being steady in the whirlpool. So you've got whirlpool means the mode of goodness is currenting around you, the mode of passion is currenting around you, the mode of ignorance is currenting around you. There's lust around you, greed around you, anger, envy, pride. There's crazy politicians around you, crazy media and all these kind of things. And there's relatives saying all different things, and bosses and kids and husbands and wives, and some of them are favorable, some unfavorable, some friendly, some unfriendly, some kind, some wicked. There's all kind of different things going on. Sometimes it's a nice weather, sometimes terrible weather. Like we've had terrible weather here the last day or so. But amongst all that external environment, which is always changing, because that's the nature of the material world, it's always changing, it's always moving. Actually, the Sanskrit word for the material world is called Jagat. It's called Jagat. The material world is called Jagat. Jagat, Jagat.
Sorry, mate. The material world is called Jagat.
Jagat. J-A-G. J for jet, A for apple, G for Google. Gulshan. A for apple.
Aaron.
And T for Teddy. So Jagat. And just like we have Jagannath Rathayatra, Jagannath. Jaga means the universe, means the world, the universe. So it means the universe, not just the world. It means the universe.
Nath means the owner.
Jaga means the universe, and Nath means Lord. So he's the Lord of the universe, Lord of the Jagat. So, but the meaning of Jagat is interesting. It means moving. Like if you look at the sky at night, it's actually everything is moving. I mean, modern science says it's not moving. Some things it says it's not moving, but actually, according to the Vedas, that all the planets are moving in orbits. They're all moving in their different orbits. And I think modern science says the sun is not moving. If I got it correct, maybe not, but I think that's what Prabhupada said. But actually, according to the Vedas, the sun is moving also. So everything is moving. So there's always change going on. And sometimes it'll be we're in the mode of passion, sometimes in the mode of ignorance, sometimes goodness. All these things are changing. Like, for example, usually early in the day, before the sunrise, is the mode of goodness. But that changes. When the sun comes up, then it's mode of passion. And everyone starts racing around, right? Everyone's very peaceful before the sun rises, and you can do your japa meditation. But when the sun comes up, oh, I have to go to work. Run, 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 quick, quick, quick. And then when the sun goes down, then mode of ignorance comes. Then the TV gets turned on. Then, and all the bad habits for all the materialistic people, like that, sex and drugs and meat eating and all the things go on, and crime goes on, the darkness and the night and so many things. So, yeah, it's mode of ignorance. And, of course, we sleep because that's the ignorant time, right? That's the ignorant time. That's when you sleep, when it's the mode of ignorance. It makes you sleep. So these different things are always going around us, but we have to always try to keep fixed on Krishna consciousness, whether it's the mode of goodness outside, whether it's passion outside, whether it's ignorant outside, whether things are going according to your plan outside, whether things are not going according to your plan outside, whether it's peaceful outside, it's chaos outside, like that. So that's the art of living in Krishna consciousness, to keep fixed, our mind fixed on Krishna, no matter what's going on outside. And believe me, it's not always going to be roses. It's not always going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, a lot of difficulties, especially in Kali Yuga. There's going to be many obstacles. But throughout all those, external obstacles, there is a process, and that's given by Prabhupada, how we can keep ourselves fixed on Krishna. And especially important is we must always chant. That's the main thing going to keep our mind fixed on Krishna. That's going to give us that quality of an ocean. But we have to learn to become attached to chanting. We have to become attached to our chanting. That's our lifeline, to the spiritual world. We have to, never go anywhere without your japa beads, and even if you don't have your japa beads, chant anyway. You don't even need your japa beads. Just whenever you can, just chant. Or, sing songs about Krishna, learn verses, talk about Krishna, keep your mind fixed on Krishna one way or another throughout all these situations, and that'll carry us through. Yes. Thank you very much. Anyone want to say anything?
Thank you, everybody. Next week, we're still on Skype.
Oh, thank you for reminding me, Bob. Great you reminded me. So what's been discussed about is that we've decided to stay on Skype with the soul searching. And mainly the reason was that Narendra, who I think most of you know, is he comes on Saturday, our Saturday talk. He's volunteered to record everything and transfer it to YouTube. So that was the main reason why we wanted to get off Skype and onto Facebook, because we couldn't record from here. But he's doing it himself. So because that purpose is fulfilled, there's no need for us to change now. And we might do some other things on Facebook for our Krishna Culture Educational Foundation Trust that we've set up. But the soul searching is going to be the same. So if you have set up a Facebook account, sorry about that. We don't really need you to do that. For this soul searching, it's not going to change. So
no problem.
So all glories to Narendra. Thanks to Narendra for helping us out there. So this is service. He's offered to do some service in that way, using his technical skills and a fast internet at his place to be able to upload stuff, download stuff. So that's great. He could do that.
Okay.
So take care, everyone. All the very best.
Thank you.
Haribol.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.